Hi, I'm Anna, or Anna G Writes and Reads. Welcome back, or welcome if you're here for the first time. If it's your first time here, then you might not know that the white shelf behind me is my TBR shelf, and I really want to have books that are facing outward be my priority TBR for this year. So I want to go through some of the books that I'm going to be switching out, and I'm going to make a video later on what's not on my priority TBR and won't even be on my TBR shelf at all. I'm actually going to move the books to another room. So we're starting strong with The Wrath and the Dawn, and I do want to get the second book for this year. One of my goals is to read more diversely for the year, so I'm trying to be intentional with the books that I choose to pick on my TBR. This is a strong start. I also want to read The Children of Blood and Bone and The Children of Virtue and Vengeance. This was a book from my book advent calendar. This one I bought separately. Super excited to have these. I Fell in Love with Hope is the first indie author book that I have on my priority TBR. I've seen this all around and I'm a sucker and I bought into it and I'm really interested to see what the book has in store. I have my next indie author, L.R.W. Lee, which is Rockabye Baby. Don't know anything about this book. The next indie author book is The Shadow Kingdom. C.J. Inkson is the author. Again, no idea what this is about. The Soul Summoner by Alicia Hyder. Again, got this from the book advent calendar. No idea what it's about. And then the last indie author that I have, at least for now, is Ava Richardson with The Dragon Trials. I think it's about dragons. I don't know. I also want to do an honorable mention where I don't physically have the book because it's not out yet, but I want to read the second book in the Last Storm duology, maybe series, by J.D. Litton, who is a wonderful self-published author. I read her first book, The Last Storm, and I absolutely loved it. All right, we got a cartoon cover. The American Roommate Experiment is also a priority on my TBR list this year. I saw a video where it was, you know, like critiquing all of the little images, but I don't know. I think they're cute. So I'm kind of interested in what this book is about, and I want to make it a priority because it is by a BIPOC author. Then we have Every Other Weekend. I thought it looked cool. No idea what it's about. We have Alone with You in the Ether, which will be my first Olive E. Blake title. Not sure if I want to jump into the Atlas 6/Atlas Paradox world, but I do want to try out Alone with the Ether. I saw this all over Book Talk. Counterfeit. I bought this because the cover looked cool, not because of the deckled edges. Those aren't my favorite. But I was suckered in by the cover, and I'm interested to see what it is. We have this graphic novel from Scott Westerfeld. I think it'll be fun to change around the medium. I don't like Shay. I don't like Shay as a character. I've read all of the Uglies books, don't like her, so I'm interested if this graphic novel is going to change my perception of her at all. Then we have Nothing More to Tell, which brings us to the first books that I'm actually going to take off of this shelf to start, you know, clearing out the shelf. But I want to put all of Karen M. McManus's books on my priority TBR this year, especially leading up to the final book in the One of Us is Lying series, which I have One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next. So I want to read all of Karen's books this year, meaning pre-ordering the last book as well. I really want to read Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. I haven't read any of her books, so I'm interested to jump in with this one. I also want to read Legendborn and Bloodmarked. I am loving Blood Like Magic right now, and Tracy Dion wrote a quote supporting Blood Like Magic, so I definitely want to read her books too. Switching up genres a little bit, The Housemaid. My mother-in-law got this for me for Christmas, and she said it was really good, and it was on my physical TBR, so I'm really excited for this one. So I'm not a huge rereader of books, but I have a physical copy of Staying Fat for Sarah Burns, and I gave my copy away to an ex, and I'm so happy to have a physical copy. I don't know what reactions I'll have now, but I'm super excited to reread this book this year. We have Iron Widow, but I know that the second book comes out this year, so I'm not going to read this until the second book is also in my hands, because I heard the cliffhanger of this book is crazy. I have this Jasmine Guillory book. I've had it for a while, but I've actually listened to 3 of her books, and I love her writing style and her storytelling. So I definitely want to make this a priority, especially as my only physical Jasmine Guillory book. And then we have On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I am excited to get into this one. I read The Hate You Give a while ago, so I really want to hop into this one. And then we have another book coming off of the shelf behind me because I got 6 Crimson Crames in a blind book date that my Barnes & Noble was doing. So I also got the second book, The Dragon's Promise. Definitely want to read these 2 this year. I don't know if I'm going to wait till Duology December to read these 2, but I definitely want to read them this year. Right now I'm buddy reading The Inheritance Game, and I definitely want to read the rest of the trilogy this year because I'm loving The Inheritance Game. So I definitely want to read The Hawthorne Legacy and The Final Gambit all this year because it's just so fast-paced and good, and I don't want to stop reading them. I want to prioritize The Folk of Air. We have The Cruel Prince, Wicked King, Queen of Nothing, and if I like these, I do want to get Stolen Heir and kind of go down the rabbit hole into this universe. I also want to read The Kingdom of the Wicked, Kingdom of the Cursed, and Kingdom of the Feared. Got this for the Barnes & Noble half-off sale. I love the box. I don't know if I just want to do something with the books or if I want to do something fun with the box on the shelf. Same with the Inheritance Game box that I have and the Cruel Prince box that you just saw. So I definitely want to prioritize these, and I think these will be fun to put on the shelf. And then these are the only books that I'm pulling from the shelf behind me that I know that I for sure want to keep on the shelf behind me for my TBR shelf this year. We have An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. Read a lot of his other books, so I want to delve into this one. We have One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I've read Red, White, and Royal Blue by her and I Kiss Shara Wheeler. I enjoyed I Kiss Shara Wheeler a lot. The main character of Red, White, and Royal Blue was kind of annoying to me, so I'm curious where One Last Stop will fall in my rankings of her books. Now, I made a TikTok one day where I did like a mini kind of like You're Coming Home With Me books that I got from Half Price Books, and a lot of people had mixed feelings about Holding Up the Universe. I want to read it and kind of see what it looks like. I know that somebody said that it had a poor representation of some mental health struggles and whatnot, so I'm not endorsing, this book. I didn't know that until I made the TikTok, but I am curious to see what it says. And this is kind of weird, but one of my goals this year is to DNF a book so that I can keep enjoying reading and not fall into a slump. And I'm interested to see if this might be the book that falls into that pile or if I'm going to love it like half of the people do on TikTok. All the Bright Places, which I wish I knew it was a book before I watched the movie because I don't know how I'm going to feel because I actually really liked the movie. And so I feel like I'm either going to really love this book or I'm just going to keep comparing it to the movie. We have The Girl Who Fell from the Sky, which I actually got from a library trip where they were selling books outside in a parking lot for like 25 cents. And I thought that this was really interesting, specifically for the back. It says, in the aftermath of a family tragedy, a biracial girl must cope with society's ideas of race and class. So I think I would be interested in this book. I am listening to A Firekeeper's Daughter right now, and it has a similar premise of a biracial daughter, and I like hearing that different point of view. It's something I don't personally experience and definitely want to read more about. And then lastly, The Girl with the Louding Voice. Super interested to read this one. I've heard nothing but good things, and I'm happy I was able to pick up a copy at my local Half Price Books that's like 50 minutes away, but I'm glad to have it. So now I'm going to rearrange the shelf behind me, and we're going to see if there are any other books I'm going to put on my priority TBR based off of how the shelf is set up. I might not. I'll let you know in the next clip. All right, so I just counted the priority TBR reads behind me, and because there are still 11 months in the year and I want to read a book a week, I want 48 books total behind me. There are only 40. So my next 8 are here, then I'm going to show you what those are. I got the entire Hush Hush series when I saw it at Half Price Books, so I want to make these a priority this year. We start with Hush Hush, then we have Crescendo, Silence, and Finale. I was debating putting these on the first round when I did this priority TBR list. I just kind of went with gut feeling. I didn't really count. So I'm happy that I'm able to add these. Going along the John Green vein with The Abundance of Catherines, we have by John Green and David Leviathan. We have Will Grayson. This next one came from the book Advent Calendar, and the cover is super interesting to me. I definitely want to find out what We the Fire is all about, so I'm excited that I get to add this to my little stack. And then these last 2 I got in the book Advent Calendar, but they were actually on my physical TBR list before my husband was putting together the calendar. So we have 100 Other Girls and Sweet and Bitter Magic. I'm gonna put those on the shelf behind me and then I'll show you the final result. All right, here's the final result of my TBR shelf for this year with all 48 books. Now there are 2 shelves below where I'm gonna put like my backup TBR books, because obviously as I read books during the year, I'm gonna move them from one shelf to the other. So I'm excited to see that happen. The next video I'm gonna make is going to be talking about what I'm not going to be prioritizing this year, not putting at the bottom of that shelf, and maybe getting to it next year. We'll see. So I hope you liked this video. Let me know if you've read any of the books on my TBR, if I made good choices, not as good choices. There's always time to still change it because a TBR is not set in stone. So I hope to hear from you, and I hope you watch my next video too.